All right, welcome to your personalized deep dive. We're going to be unpacking some really interesting excerpts today
hmm
from the book The Truth About Relativity and Why Everything is Relative, even when it shouldn't be.
Okay.
And it's all about behavioral economics,
Right.
which, we've all heard about those perfect economic models,
Yeah.
but this is about how our brains actually work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fascinating kind of blend of psychology and economics that
Yeah.
I think really reveals
Well,
how much our choices are influenced by things we might not even realize.
Yeah, even just looking at the table of contents, you see all these kind of like quirky things about human nature,
Ah,
like the influence of arousal, the problem of procrastination, and even like why we're dishonest sometimes.
It's like peeking behind the curtain of like everyday decisions and seeing like the
Yes.
machinery at work
Yeah.
that isn't always so rational.
Yeah. And I thought this one chapter title was really interesting.
Okay.
Why a 50-cent aspirin can do what a penny aspirin can't. What is that all about?
That goes right to the heart of what's called the price placebo effect.
Okay.
Essentially uh, our expectations about a product,
Uh-huh.
which are often shaped by its price, can actually impact
Okay.
how effective we think it is.
So you're telling me that if I think something's more expensive,
Yeah?
it might actually work better,
Yeah.
even if it's like the same thing.
That's what the research suggests.
Wow.
Our brains associate higher prices with higher quality,
Okay.
and that belief can actually trigger a physiological response
Interesting.
that makes the product seem more effective.
It's like our perceptions really have a big role
Huge role.
in how we experience things.
Absolutely.
It's kind of mind-blowing.
It is.
Like how many of our purchasing decisions are based on this?
Right.
Like we just assume that higher price means
Right.
higher quality.
It seems intuitive,
Yeah.
but it's not always the case.
This is a game changer.
It is. Yeah, this isn't just about clever marketing tactics. This is like a
Yeah.
fundamental thing about how our brains work and
Oh, yeah.
process information.
So another chapter title that really intrigued me was The Context of Our Character, Why We Are Dishonest and What We Can Do About It.
Okay.
I mean, isn't dishonesty just dishonest?
Right.
Like, how can the context matter?
Yeah, that's the intriguing question that this chapter kind of uh, explores.
Okay.
It challenges this notion that, like,
Okay.
we have a fixed level of honesty,
Uh-huh.
and it highlights how powerful situational factors are.
So, like, even if we think we're an ethical person,
Yeah,
the situation can kind of push us back
precisely.
into being dishonest.
It's a bit unsettling,
Yeah.
but the research is really compelling.
Okay.
Even subtle cues in our environment can impact our likelihood of being dishonest.
Really?
For instance, studies have shown that people are more likely to cheat or steal when they're handling cash
Really?
versus credit cards.
I mean, money is money.
Right.
What's...
It seems that the physical act of handling money,
Okay.
that tangible, like, representation of value,
Uh-huh.
triggers, like, a different set of moral calculations
Well,
in our brains
yeah.
compared to, like, the more abstract nature of a credit card.
That's fascinating. Like
Yeah.
our environment's influencing our behavior without us even realizing it.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
And this is really just the tip of the iceberg.
I'm going to be more mindful of that now for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a whole world of fascinating insights about human behavior waiting to be explored.
Okay. Well, I'm ready to dive deeper.
Right.
Let's see what other surprising discoveries await us in these pages.
Sounds good.
Okay. So the next chapter is called The Influence of Arousal. Why hot is much hotter than we realize.
Okay.
Now, I'm no prude, but does this really belong in a book about behavioral economics?
Don't let the title fool you.
Okay.
This isn't about romance.
Okay.
This chapter is about the impact of our emotional and physical state on our decision-making, particularly when we're experiencing heightened arousal or excitement.
So like when you're feeling really happy
Yeah.
or excited
Or stressed, even.
or stressed,
Yeah.
could those emotions cloud our judgment?
Exactly.
Okay.
When our arousal levels are elevated,
Okay.
we're often more impulsive,
Uh-huh.
more likely to take risks, and less likely to think things through carefully.
It's like our rational mind takes a back seat.
Yeah.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Right.
Like that time I bought those concert tickets after a really good day at work.
Yeah.
Like I was not thinking straight.
You feeling good.
I was feeling good.
Yeah, and when we're in that heightened emotional state,
Yeah.
our brains tend to prioritize immediate gratification over long-term consequences.
Right.
We get caught up in the moment,
Okay.
and our decision-making reflects that.
So how do we prevent our emotions
Yeah.
from hijacking our decisions,
That's a great question.
especially in those hot moments?
Yeah. And one that I think we'll delve into further
Yeah.
as we explore more of this book.
Okay.
But I think for now, just that awareness,
Okay.
just
Yeah.
recognizing that our emotions can influence our decisions, even in subtle ways,
Okay.
is a powerful first step.
Awareness is key.
It is.
It's like shining a light on those hidden forces that are shaping our choices.
Yeah.
I'm ready to keep digging.
Right.
What other intriguing chapters are waiting for us in this deep dive?
So this next chapter really resonated with me.
Okay.
It's called The Problem of Procrastination and Self-Control.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we could all relate to this on some level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am the queen of procrastination.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
I have this love-hate relationship with my to-do list.
Uh-huh.
I know what I should be doing,
Yeah.
but there's always something more tempting.
It's that classic battle between our present self and our future self.
Right.
We all want to be productive,
Mhm.
achieve our goals, make healthy choices.
Right.
But then there's that immediate gratification,
Yeah.
whispering in our ear.
Another episode.
Yeah, that extra slice of cake.
You're reading my mind.
Yeah.
So is this just a matter of willpower then?
That's a good question.
Or
It's definitely more complex than just willpower.
okay.
This chapter goes into the neuroscience behind procrastination,
Okay.
exploring how our brains value present rewards
Uh-huh.
versus future rewards.
Okay.
And it turns out our brains are wired to prioritize
Okay.
those immediate pleasures,
Even if we know.
even if we know logically
Yeah.
that the future rewards would be greater.
It's like our brain's playing tricks on us,
Exactly.
making us choose the thing that's not really the best for us in the long run.
Yeah, it's like a fascinating evolutionary quirk.
Okay.
Back in the day when resources were scarce,
Uh-huh.
it made sense to seize the reward that's right in front of you.
Right.
Because who knew what tomorrow would bring?
Right.
But in our modern world, where we have more stability, long-term goals,
Yeah.
this tendency can really backfire.
Okay, so how do we break free from that procrastination trap?
Yeah.
Are there any strategies?
The book offers some really insightful strategies,
Okay.
one of which is called pre-commitment.
Okay.
It's basically about removing temptation
Uh-huh.
from the equation by setting up systems
Okay.
that make it easier to make the desired choice.
Right.
For example, if you want to save more money,
Yeah.
you could set up an automatic transfer to your savings account each month.
Okay.
That way, the decision is already made. You don't have to wrestle with your impulsive self.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah, it's like outsmarting your own brain,
Yeah.
setting up those safeguards in advance.
What other techniques are there?
Another interesting concept is called temptation bundling. It's
Yeah.
about pairing something you enjoy
Mm-hmm.
with something you need to do but tend to procrastinate on.
Okay.
So, for example, if you hate working out,
Okay.
but you love listening to podcasts,
Right.
you could allow yourself to only listen to your favorite podcasts while exercising.
Okay, I get it.
Make the less desirable activity more appealing.
It's like tricking yourself into doing the right thing.
Exactly.
I like it.
It's all about finding what works for you
Yeah.
and your unique brain wiring.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay.
But I think by understanding these underlying mechanisms of procrastination,
Uh-huh.
we can start to develop more effective strategies for overcoming it.
This is making me feel more empowered to tackle my to-do list.
That's great.
Okay, so moving on.
Yeah.
There's a chapter called The High Price of Ownership, Why We Overvalue What We Have.
Okay.
And I'm thinking this might relate to my overflowing closet.
I think it will resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
This chapter dives into a phenomenon called the endowment effect,
Okay.
which explains why we tend to place a higher value on things we own,
Okay.
even if those things have no real sentimental or practical value.
So just because I own something, I automatically think it's more valuable than somebody else would.
It's like ownership itself
Okay.
imbues an object with added worth in our minds.
Okay.
And this has some interesting implications
Okay.
for our behavior,
Okay.
particularly when it comes to buying, selling,
Uh-huh.
even decluttering,
Yeah, like I have so much stuff I haven't used in years,
right?
but I can't get rid of it.
It's hard to let go.
It is.
Yeah, the endowment effect can make it hard to let go,
Yeah.
even when we know logically that we'd be better off without all the clutter.
Right.
It's a reminder that our emotional attachments
Yeah.
can sometimes override
Yeah.
our rational decision-making.
So how do we combat this?
Yeah, that's a good question.
How can we be more objective?
The book suggests trying to shift your perspective.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on what you'd be losing by getting rid of something,
Uh-huh.
consider the benefits of having more space,
Okay.
less clutter, even the money you could make by selling it.
Okay.
It's about reframing the decision
Uh-huh.
in a way that minimizes that perceived loss,
Okay.
emphasizes the potential gains.
That's a good tip.
Yeah,
I'm going to try that
good.
next time I'm feeling overwhelmed by all my stuff.
Yeah, remember, awareness is the first step.
Okay.
Once you understand how the endowment effect works,
Mm-hmm.
you can start to make more conscious choices about what you value and what you choose to keep.
Maybe I'll even host a yard sale.
There you go.
Okay, so moving on.
Okay.
There's another chapter called Keeping Doors Open, Why Options Distract Us from Our Main Objective.
Okay.
And this sounds suspiciously like my online shopping habits.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent connection.
Yeah.
This chapter explores our tendency to crave options,
Mm-hmm.
even when having too many choices actually hinders our ability to make decisions and
Yeah.
achieve our goals.
Yeah.
In today's world,
Uh-huh.
where we're bombarded with endless options.
Yeah.
This can be a real challenge.
I spend hours browsing online,
Yeah.
adding things to my cart,
Right.
but then rarely actually buying anything.
Yeah. You get paralyzed by all the choices.
Yeah, and I end up feeling overwhelmed
Right.
and dissatisfied.
That's that classic example of the paradox of choice.
Yeah.
We often assume that more options equal more freedom and happiness.
Right.
But in reality,
Yeah.
it can lead to decision fatigue,
Yeah.
anxiety,
Uh-huh.
a sense of regret.
Wow.
So this chapter argues that by limiting our choices,
Okay.
focusing on what truly matters,
Uh-huh.
closing some metaphorical doors,
Right.
we can actually free up mental energy
Okay.
and make more progress toward our goals.
So it's not about deprivation. Right. It's about being intentional with our choices
Exactly.
and focusing on what really aligns with our values.
It's about recognizing that our time and energy are precious resources,
Yeah.
and we can't afford to waste them on endless browsing or pursuing every shiny object that catches our attention.
Right.
By streamlining our choices,
Yeah.
simplifying our lives,
Uh-huh.
we create more space for the things that truly matter.
I'm definitely feeling a sense of clarity emerging from this deep dive.
That's great.
It's like I'm starting to see those patterns of behavior
Yeah.
that have been holding me back, and I'm finally getting some tools to break free.
That's the power of understanding how our minds work.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect
Right.
or never making mistakes.
Yeah.
It's about becoming more aware of our biases and tendencies
Oh.
so that we can make more informed and intentional choices.
All right, let's keep this momentum going.
Sounds good.
What other insights are waiting for us in these excerpts? All right, hit me with some more insights.
Okay, so this next chapter is called The Effect of Expectations,
Mm-hmm.
Why the Mind Gets What It Expects.
Okay.
And it really dives into that idea of self-fulfilling prophecies.
Okay.
You know how our beliefs can actually shape our reality?
Yeah. So, like, if I go into something expecting it to be a disaster,
Yeah.
it's probably going to turn out that way.
It's not quite that simple,
Okay.
but there's definitely truth to that.
Okay.
Our expectations kind of act like filters.
Yeah.
They influence how we interpret events,
Okay.
how we interact with the world.
Okay.
So if we're anticipating negativity,
Yeah.
we're more likely to notice the negative aspects of a situation,
Right.
which can create kind of a downward spiral.
Yeah. But I guess the reverse is true too then.
Exactly.
If you go in expecting something positive.
Yeah, positive expectations can lead to positive outcomes.
So it's like the power of positive thinking,
It is.
but backed by science.
Exactly.
I like it.
This chapter highlights how powerful our thoughts and beliefs really are.
Ah.
It's not about ignoring reality or pretending everything's perfect.
Right.
It's about recognizing the power of our mindset
Okay.
and choosing to approach things with like
Uh-huh.
a more optimistic,
Yeah.
constructive outlook.
So we're not just like passively observing life.
Right.
We're actively shaping it
Exactly.
through our expectations.
That's a pretty empowering thought.
It is pretty empowering.
It is. Yeah.
Mhm.
It means we have more control than we realize.
Okay.
And I think it underscores the importance of cultivating a more positive and resilient mindset.
Okay, so this next chapter is called The Power of Price.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Didn't we already cover this with the 50-cent aspirin chapter?
We touched on the price placebo effect,
Right.
but this chapter goes a little deeper
Okay.
into the psychology of pricing.
Okay.
It goes beyond just the placebo effect
Okay.
and looks at how prices can signal quality,
Uh-huh.
scarcity, even social status.
It's like a whole hidden language
Yeah.
of price tags that have been missing.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Prices convey so much more information than we realize,
Okay.
and by understanding these subtle cues,
Yeah.
we can become more savvy consumers.
Okay, give me the inside scoop.
All right, well, for example,
Yeah.
we tend to perceive limited time offers as more valuable,
Okay.
even if the price is the same.
Yeah.
That sense of urgency triggers this fear of missing out,
Okay.
which can lead to those impulse purchases.
That's why I always fall for those flash sales.
We all do to some extent,
Yeah.
but by recognizing these psychological triggers,
Right.
we can be more mindful
Yeah.
of our spending habits.
And make better choices.
Exactly.
Okay, so what else does this chapter reveal?
Well, it also explores how pricing can shape perceptions of quality.
Okay.
A higher price tag often leads people to think it's higher quality.
Right. Like if something costs more,
Yeah,
it must be better.
exactly.
Makes sense.
And this applies to services and experiences too.
Okay.
It's all about how we perceive value.
Okay. I'm going to be way more aware of price tags now.
I think that's a good takeaway.
Yeah. This whole deep dive has been really insightful.
Good.
Like I'm understanding consumer behavior so much better
That's great.
and feeling empowered to make more informed choices.
That's the beauty of behavioral economics. You know, it's not about judging ourselves
Uh-huh.
or feeling bad about our past decisions.
Right.
It's about gaining self-awareness, using that knowledge to make more conscious choices moving forward.
Yes. I love that.
Good.
It's like we're understanding the forces that shape our behavior
Yeah,
so we can become the authors of our own stories.
I love that.
This has been an incredible journey.
It has.
I feel like I've learned so much
A good
about
one.
myself and my brain,
You too.
and I'm ready to put all these insights into practice.
Awesome.
Thank you for guiding me through this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listener,
Yeah.
if you want to learn even more,
Uh-huh.
we highly recommend checking out the full book,
Yes.
The Truth About Relativity and Why Everything is Relative, Even When It Shouldn't Be.
Great.
Happy reading
Happy reading.
and happy decision making.